Ankur, when you enter the interview room, how do you start? Any really?
Should I walk in?
No, you don't walk in, but you are there in the room. You have to start by saying good afternoon or something.
Yes, sir. I didn't know that the interview formally started. So I'm
Okay.
sorry. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon,
Okay,
ma'am.
let's start the interview now.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Please carry on.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Ankur, please start by telling us a bit about yourself, what your passion is, what you like to do, and what you have done so far, and why you have chosen to come for the civil services.
So my name is Ankur Kumar and I belong to Patna. I completed my schooling there and then I moved to IIT Delhi to complete my BTech in engineering physics. That I primarily chose to do because I was more interested in solving analytical problems. And I thought that by studying physics, I can do some grassroots innovations and do some innovative projects. So I decided to continue. That by founding a startup company of which I am a part right now. However, in due course of time, I realized that the kind of work which I want to do is best done by being a part of system, which will provide me the support, which will provide me the network, and perhaps a requisite training also. That is why I want to join civil services.
So basically, if I have to understand you correctly, you are saying it is not enough to learn a skill, and that to a highly valued skill like engineering physics, doing a startup where you actually are following the Atmanirbhar Bharat, that you are creating jobs rather than seeking jobs. All those are valueless, have nothing to add to the country unless you are a civil servant.
Uh, I wanted to say that I was more interested in work, which was rather more impact centric. However, the more general idea of a startup is to generate revenue and create business out of that. During the course of time, I realized that my acumen lies more on a bit of social work and creating an impact. So that is why I decided to join civil services.
Mm-hmm. Just remind me, I will have to give you a bit of feedback on that answer, okay?
Sure.
So that people will later on. Now, also, I find that one of your hobbies, or one of the things that I like to do is theater.
Yes.
Do you just do it, or do you actually like it? What is the extent to which you would like it?
So I have performed in theater in my village, and I was a part of theater club during my initial 2 years in college, and that is where I got the interest to perform. However, unfortunately, after that, I have not been able to continue.
Now, give me just two names of the theater personalities. I'm not saying actors or directors or creators. Two personalities whom you like.
So Prithviraj Kapoor and Arvind Gaur.
Arvind Gaur is theater, but Prithviraj Kapoor, do you think he's theater?
Yes,
He
sir.
had gone onto the silver screen as soon as he came from here from Lahore.
So Prithviraj Kapoor founded the Prithvi Theatres and was one of the pioneers in IPTA, Indian People's Theatre Association, and that is how theatre movement in post-independence got a boost.
Prithviraj Kapoor founded the Prithvi Theatres.
Yes.
And what is Prithvi Theatre doing now? Do you know?
So I'm aware that there are the Prithvi Theatre is functioning in Mumbai and other parts of country also, but I'm not well versed in its exact
Are you
function.
sure it is functioning?
So I have seen some YouTube videos recently, but I'm not sure if it's currently functioning at the moment or not.
Who is actually the head of Prithvi Theatre now?
I'm sorry, sir. I'm unaware of that.
You're unaware. Sanjana Kapoor, his granddaughter.
Thank you, sir.
It's going nowhere at all. Okay. Anyone else? Arvind Gaur, I agree. I mean, he is quite a well-known name in the theatre. Alkazi?
Yes, Ibrahim Alkazi and Habib Tanvir.
In all this scheme of theatres in India, do you think theatre has actually succeeded? Is it getting enough space in India?
So by the advent of OTT and the reach of theaters, the reach of Bollywood theaters, as in movies, we can say that to some extent there has been a decline in the people's interest. However, the whole idea of theater is to provide a man-to-man interaction, and which essentially represents the identity of a culture. Because most often it happens in local languages, local costumes. It revolves around folk stories. So in that manner, it is very much essential to raise cultural awareness of a particular place.
In this space, where does the public spaces figure in? Street theater?
Nukkad Natak is also playing a prominent role. For example, they are perhaps raising some social awareness in many places. We have also participated in some theaters in college in our first year to raise awareness about ragging and all these things.
Oh, Nukkad Natak is actually new happening over the last 10 years. Can you give me the names of some of the traditional street theaters of India?
So Bideshia is one form of theater which was carried out in Bihar. Others, sir, I'm not aware at the moment.
What about Ramlila?
Yeah, Ramlila also. Ramlila is
the most popular street theater. What about puppet theater, Kathakali?
Yes, sir. Puppet theater is also happening. Unfortunately, I have not seen that in person.
आपने कभी कठपुतली खेल नहीं देखा? When the puppeteers come to the house and they make the puppets dance up and down? Haven't seen that.
Unfortunately, no, sir. I have not got that opportunity yet.
Chalo, let us leave theater apart. Now we come to just one more question. You have heard of G20? India has become the president of G20.
Yes.
Do you think it was done by election or it was going to happen to us in any case that we will become the president of G20?
So G20, the presidency of G20 happens in a series where a troika is formed.
Rotation.
In rotation.
Yeah, you're right. Carry on.
So India was part of that troika last year, and that is how it became president this year.
So clearly, when India became president, it was not because of any special efforts. India was going to become the president in any case. But we are attaching a lot of importance to it. Why?
So G20 is a platform which controls over 70 to 80% of the global economy and population. So it is an important stage, firstly, to demonstrate the capabilities of India. Like, for example, when almost all of the Western world is facing persistent problems of inflation and geopolitical uncertainties, we are doing better in terms of managing that. Secondly,
Ankur, I'm sorry to stop you. What you are telling me is basically it has come in all the newspaper, everything's common knowledge. I want to know why is India particularly attaching so much of importance to G20 presidency. And just to give you a hint, Prime Minister Modi has given enough reasons why G20 is important for us. And they look at the motto and everything and then give me an answer.
Sir, I believe the whole idea of India is to develop its image as one of the prominent leaders in the world and tend towards multipolarity. And the whole intention of G20 is also to demonstrate that only together, by considering the one Earth, one family, one future, we can solve global problems like climate change, terrorism, etc.
What is it? One Earth?
One family? Earth, one family, one future.
One fraternity, one family, one future, 3 Fs.
One Earth, one family, one future.
One family, one future, one fraternity. Instead of Earth, use the word fraternity, 3 Fs. Okay, anyway. I will come to this in the feedback.
Sure,
okay, Ankur, just taking off from your theatre, fondness for theatre and Nukkad Natak you spoke about, do you remember the name of one? And you're from IIT Delhi.
Yes, ma'am.
From IIT Delhi, huh? So being a Delhi, having studied in Delhi, a famous name in this Nukkad Natak in performance of Nukkad Natak. Very famous name. The road is also named after him in Delhi.
Sorry.
No,
I'm sorry, ma'am. I'm not able to
okay,
recollect. I'm
doesn't
not aware.
matter. Safdar Hashmi. Okay, you've heard of Safdar Hashmi?
Yes, ma'am. Sardar Hashmi.
Safdar Hashmi?
Ma'am, I have heard of his name, but
Okay.
I'm not.
Okay, so let's just move on, you know. You see, you write Hindi poems. Can you recite 2 lines of your Hindi poem? You write Hindi
Yes, ma'am.
poems. Yeah?
Yes, ma'am. So generally, ma'am, I write on the inner contradictions and dilemmas I face. So one of which I recently wrote goes like कि ख्यालों में तो लगता पूरा जहां ही है, मनोवेग सी गति कहाँ से कहाँ पहुंचा देती है, कुछ बातों का स्मरण, कुछ बातों का सृजन, कभी कभी तो लगता है हकीकत सा ही,
क्या बात।
परिस्थितियों के खुले जोड़ ख्यालों में मिल जाते हैं, मनोवांछित बुनाई हो तो कभी तूफान कभी पर्वत से लड़ जाते हैं. So
क्या
it goes
बात।
something like that.
Very nice, very nice.
Thank you.
चलिए आपका you know interest in startups also, and
Yes,
you
ma'am.
co-founded a startup which got a you know award, and then you know also innovation also you got some you know recognition, and of course you've decided to leave it all for civil services. Never mind, it's your choice. But you tell me what you understand by alternate investment fund. AIF?
Ma'am, I'm sorry, I'm not able to recollect at the moment.
Okay, okay, never mind. Okay, any idea which state has the maximum startups in India? You could make
Ma'am, most of the startups in India are located in metro cities, and I think it's Bangalore where it is the highest.
Very good, yes, it is. I mean, Karnataka. Karnataka has the
Karnataka is the state.
Yeah, and then can you go down number 2?
Then, ma'am, I'll have to make a guess.
Okay, okay, all right, okay. You can read up on it, all right, because it figures so prominently in your DAF. And okay, you tell me what a unicorn is.
Ma'am, technically, unicorn is referred to a startup which has crossed $1 billion valuation. However, unicorn is a mythical creature which is said to be very like fascinating.
Fair enough. Yeah, that I meant it only with reference to startup. It has attained, you know, that kind of scale. Yeah, and around how many unicorns in India?
Over 100 startup companies have become unicorn in India.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, all right. Okay. So we'll move on from there. You read about the budget?
Yes, ma'am. I am going through that.
Okay. Capital outlay? How much is the capital outlay?
Ma'am, I'm aware that capital expenditure have been increased and revenue expenditure have been rationalized, but the exact numbers I'm sure.
Okay, okay. 10 lakh crores union and 3 lakh also if states are taken along. Yeah. Okay, one capital project has been just inaugurated by our Prime Minister. Can you,
Yes.
do you know about it? Just inaugurated last 1 week.
The Delhi-Mumbai highway?
Yeah, yeah, very much. What's the speciality about this highway?
Ma'am, firstly, it is going to cut down the time from Delhi to Mumbai from 24 hours to 12 hours.
Very good.
Secondly, it has built on one of the highest transparent standards. And thirdly, it has also gotten inspiration from the Gati Shakti plan, as in the telecommunication ministry has also laid down fiber cables alongside.
Okay.
So it has become a more of an integrated plan.
Okay, something to do with wildlife also is there?
Yes, ma'am. Wildlife. So there are certain wildlife passages also, so that they can cross through without coming in conflict with the ongoing traffic.
Yes, very good. Excellent. And okay, let me then ask you, because you said you haven't read up too much on the budget. So I'll just ask you, you know, conceptual stuff. Okay. The union budget, right, has sources of revenue which come from fill in the blanks? Come from where?
Tax and non-tax receipts.
One.
That is the revenue
Yeah,
income
tax
which comes through.
non-tax is very general. Can you be a little more, specific?
So revenues,
Let's say
tax,
tax. Okay, what are the taxes? Direct and indirect tax.
direct,
Okay.
direct, indirect tax.
Some of these are progressive, some of these are regressive. Which ones are
Yes.
progressive? Which ones are regressive, and why?
Ma'am, direct taxes are progressive in nature because as your income increases, you are charged more. However, indirect taxes are rather regressive because it is constant for every individual. So the percentage of your income basically decreases.
Okay. So who do they hurt the most? Regressive
So
taxes.
people having the lowest income, they
Yes,
get
very
affected the
good.
most by indirect taxes.
Yes, you got it. Okay. And what are the non-tax sources, for example?
Ma'am, non-tax sources of income can be getting sale of public assets, not public assets that comes under capital income, like sale of government books.
Well, they are source of money for the government to make its expenditure. So I'll take that. All right. This investment is also one way. Then dividends and cesses
Yes,
and
dividend and interest also.
Now, the present budget, okay, tell me which are the acts which impact the banking sector? Which are the 3 laws that govern the banking sector?
Ma'am, the Banking Regulation Act.
Yes, good.
And the Banking Regulation Act is what comes into mind right now, ma'am.
Yes, then the RBI Act.
The RBI Act.
And Banking Companies Act. Okay. Now they are sought to be revised. Any idea as to what the revision is for, the purpose? In the current budget, there's a revision of these.
I'm sorry, ma'am. I'll have to go through it.
Read up. Okay. Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Okay, Ankur.
Yes.
Tell me some important alumni of your IIT Delhi.
Sir, Dr. Raghuram Rajan is one of the prominent alumni who became the governor of RBI also.
Okay.
Secondly, Dr. Kiran Bedi, she did her PhD from IIT Delhi.
She did a PhD from there, yes.
Yes, sir.
Tell me about some people who have done their BTech or MTech from there.
Some of the startup founders like in Zomato, Mr. Depinder, and in specifically for IIT Delhi.
Yeah.
So, and there are many professors also like Professor Tyagarajan also. He was also a part of IIT and he contributed prominently in optical research of fiber optics.
Anyone in the literary field?
Chetan Bhagat.
Okay. Now, prohibition in Bihar. That is a big debatable aspect. So tell me, right now, after 3-4 years have passed since the prohibition was clamped in Bihar, do you think a rethink on this policy is required, number one? And how is it different from the prohibition in Gujarat?
Sir, to answer the first part of the question, the prohibition, the intent of prohibition is much in line for the social cause in order to reduce domestic violence and promote youth to do some useful work. However, there have been some lacunae in terms of implementing it properly, which has resulted in a lot of deaths recently. So in that part, there needs to be rethinking done for implementation part. Perhaps it may be regulated properly. And secondly, when it comes to implementation with respect to Gujarat, as far as I am aware, the laws are more strict in Bihar in comparison to Gujarat. This is the one part I know of.
Okay. Now tell me, the incidents of custodial death. Recently, it has come in the newspaper that they are pretty high in Bihar also. It's not all at the top, of course, the last 5 years. So why do custodial deaths occur? And what are the safeguards? Say, suppose you are the Superintendent of Police of a district. How will you ensure that no custodial death occurs in your district?
So to answer why custodial deaths occur, I think it can be attributed to the low number of police officials in Bihar, and that is also linked to the increasing corruption and perhaps not able to treat criminals properly on the basis of value-based law implementation. And given a chance for implementing these laws properly, I think that I'll implement first of all cameras in these police stations, and maybe filing an e-FIR. So, for example, when somebody is arrested, there is a digital record of who is arrested and what are his or her credentials, and who is the person who is arresting that. So, and thirdly, I'll make sure there is grievance redressal mechanism, so that there is a complete loop for that.
Okay. Tell me, if a 17-year-old boy commits a heinous crime, like say rape or murder, can he be tried as an adult in the court of justice? Otherwise, normally adults above 18 are tried in a normal court.
So from what I can recollect, you have to be over 18 to be tried as an adult. However, if you are below 18, you can be sent to rehabilitation center. And juvenile justice, I think, works on there.
That's what I'm asking. Is there any system by which they also can be tried in a normal court as adult?
I'm sorry, sir, I'm not aware of this.
Fine. I see that nowadays a lot of engineers are coming in the civil services. Looking at the influx of so many people, do you think it would be wise to restrict the number, keep a cap, not more than this engineers, not more than this doctors? What do you think of this idea? Because you are not, the other people are just losing in, as when they come across an engineer as such.
So I think that the whole examination process of civil services is an open ground and fair competition, because we have to read subjects from different backgrounds. So this is the part where examination is concerned. And in terms of implementation parts also, I think that engineers, along with other peoples, also have a good set of analytical understanding and fast learning abilities, which are very much needed to implement our laws properly and innovate.
Okay, my related question, do you think that engineers, and especially from IITs, they will make a better civil servant?
So it is a very subjective quality of a person to become a better civil servant. It depends on what kind of values he or she has and what kind of aspirations he or she has. So attributing it to a professional degree like engineering, I would not say would be advisable.
Okay, fine. My last question to you. Tell me the reasons why Bihar is still considered backward, despite being so rich as far as the demography is concerned, intelligent people from there, the land is very fertile. But despite that, whenever we talk of Bihar, everything, some questions arise. Okay, there's some problem. So what is the reason as well?
So Bihar is one of the fastest growing state in India, and recently it has become one of the largest producers of vegetables and fruits. So in terms of having a backward image, I believe that it is changing because the reach of infrastructure in terms of road, electricity, water, and internet is also reaching to its remote villages. However, because we have the highest population density and the least per capita income, that results to a reduction in our social parameters like the quality of education, the quality of health. So these areas perhaps contribute to a bit backwardness.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, right. Ankur, let's go for physics.
Sure,
Right?
sir.
Okay. Let's discuss the Nobel Prizes, right? Who won the Nobel Prize last year?
This year's Physics Nobel Prize was given to 3 scientists, sir. Zelinger, Austin, and third scientist, the name I'm not able to recall, and that was for quantum entanglement.
Okay, quantum. So can you define it?
The quantum entanglement.
Yeah.
Entanglement is a process by which any two objects are interrelated, and quantum entanglement is a phenomena where two quantum particles are interrelated so that any change is is reflected in other.
So give me an example.
So for example, let's say you have just imagine a situation where you have two cats in two different boxes, and somehow they are connected. So if you open a box of one cat and you say that it is live, and then you know that the other cat is obviously dead. So that is a very vague example, but
can't you think of some other example? Everybody talk about Schrödinger's cat.
Yes, sir, there can be other examples also, but this came out of my mind.
Think of some other example, please.
For example, sir, if two electrons are entangled, and we are able to know the spin state of one electron or the quantum state of one electron, then we can precisely say predict the quantum state of other electron. So that is independent of the distance, that is independent of the time the two electrons are separated from.
Okay. Right. What are quasi crystals?
This I'll have to check.
Okay. Right. Micro LEDs are in news recently. What are they?
So micro LEDs are very small size semiconductor devices, like less than 1 micrometer size, which and recently developed by Samsung Electronics. They are more contrasting and more energy efficient in terms of converting an electricity to light.
Okay. There is an air balloon controversy in international relations these days. What is it?
Sir, from what I have read, that these balloons, supposedly the Chinese balloons flew over American air, and they decided that it's an extraterritorial object, and they decided to shoot it down. And
okay. There's also controversy regarding deputy speakers these days.
Yes.
Right? Who was the last deputy speaker of the Lok Sabha?
I'm sorry, sir, I cannot recall.
Okay. Which article mentions the deputy speaker in the Constitution of India?
Sir, I'll have to recall that properly.
Okay.
I'm not aware
Ankur,
of that.
again, final question from my side. Why do you want to join the Indian Civil Services?
Sir, I am more interested in the thing which gives me more happiness is perhaps doing innovation and bringing positive change in people's life. And I tried to do that in startup, but there I realized that any kind of business oriented work has to be done for revenue generation so as to be sustainable. So I felt that joining civil services would allow me to do that kind of work which I am more interested in, and it will also give me requisite training and a part of a much bigger network so that I can learn how ideas are translated into life, and I can contribute.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Ankur. Time for the final countdown, right?
Sure, sir.
Ankur, when is your interview scheduled?
17th April, sir.
18th April.
17th April.
17th April. Okay. So both you have about 2 months.
Yes.
Right? So you have plenty of time. One or two things here. Ankur, the very fact that you are a bright candidate, the fact that you have started your own startup, you did your engineering physics from IIT, your expectations are going to be very, very high.
Okay.
Everybody in the panel, in the board, in the UPSC, when they look at these credentials, they are going to grill.
Okay.
I'm telling you honestly, with this kind of academic credentials, the performance, and you're given theater as your hobby. So questions are going to be probing. They will really probe. One or two things I would suggest. Choose where you want to give the answers in detail, and choose the areas where you basically just want to skate over. Why you want to give up? Why do you want to be chosen for the civil service? Skate over it if you can. Because, for two reasons. Number one, it is a very, very delicate area. There is no way, even if you're honest, everybody in the board knows that young students, they want to come for the civil services. They may give different argument. And they will be the first one to say, ye to coaching center ka jawab.
Okay.
Because they know how they are told to justify. The best thing that I've found so far, and this actually, let me tell you, has come from one of the very bright politician who later became Prime Minister.
Okay.
He said, you don't have to explain why you want to give up one area and go to the other area. The government has given you an option. They are not limiting it to only one kind of education or the other kind of education. Everybody who has done an undergrad is entitled to apply for the civil services.
Yes.
And I'm using my entitlement.
Okay.
You don't need to justify at all what you want to be later on. Nothing eliminates anything.
Okay.
So they may look shocked. They may say, but stay with your answer that it's a choice I was given by the UPSC, through the UPSC, and I'm exercising my choice. Stay with that.
Okay.
Okay, number one. Number two, theater.
Yes.
Theater, again, keep it simple. Because if God forbid, there is somebody who is really passionate about theater, you will go sinking. Your knowledge about theater is very shallow.
Yes.
That's the reason I'm saying it. I mean, if one probes a little more, you will surrender. Okay? So keep it at the level of, I mean, if you can't treat theater, you can't even think of puppets. And you say you have not watched puppets. Unforgivable.
Okay.
All right. And Delhi IIT, then somebody would say, in that case, you must have gone to see many plays in the Mandi House, and you have not gone there. Have you been to Mandi House at all?
Yes, sir. I have seen some plays.
Where?
So in Kamani Auditorium.
Which play?
So there was a play by Ashmita Theatre. I cannot remember the name exactly.
नहीं चलेगा. नहीं चलेगा. मैं बता रहा हूँ. So you need to be careful. Other areas you are very, very good. So just maintain that thing like G20, etc. But please remember one thing.
Yes.
G20, when we give the motto, the primary thing is India wants to become the voice of the global South.
Okay.
Okay. That's the reason that within a month of becoming the president, we organize a conference in Delhi, virtual, but we do it. And what is our agenda for the voice of the South? So that the South can tell us what to take it up at the G20 platform.
Okay.
It's clear. In the G20 outcome document at the Bali thing, we have clearly indicated that the attempt of India will be to be able to voice the concerns of the global South. Now, what is global South? What is global South?
So the third world countries are have been called the global South. Like,
So are we trying to recreate G77 or NAM?
we are getting inspired from that to meet the current global demands, but we are not trying to recreate that.
ऐसी चीजें मत बोलो. तुम बड़े ब्राइट बच्चे हो. ऐसी चीजें मत बोलो. वो ये जो है ना बड़ी आइडियोलॉजिकल चीजें. Nobody will agree. Yes, India wants to regain the leadership of the global South because most of the economic problems get away from NAM, get away
So-
from G77.
I read somewhere
Most of
that
the economic issues are faced
okay.
by the developing countries or the South countries to the South. And G20 can become a platform to resolve those problems, to find a way forward.
Okay, sir.
Okay. I'm not doing a tutorial here, therefore I'm sorry. And
Sure.
others are waiting, so I will have to cut down. But let us see what else. No, I think that's it. Speak Maki. Dr. Kira said. He's
yes, sir.
he's from your IIT, and he has done a lot to promote culture amongst the youth. Okay.
Okay, sir.
And he has taken theater to IIT performances.
Okay, I'll
I
check.
do them. Yes. Your huge auditorium got filled up completely. So remember all that.
Sure, sir.
Okay. I'm sorry, I think I've said enough. I've taken more than due time. Please.
Ankur, see, I found you a very positive, you have a very positive body language, okay? You smile at the right time and you're a smart guy, you know, your replies are good, you articulate well, and you come out as a thinking person. You're thinking out your reply and you're giving, which is good. You don't look like, you know, giving parroted replies, right? So you're thinking on your feet. That's a good thing. That's having said that, you know, naturally your DAF and current affairs are two areas you have to kind of be very, very sure on. I mean, every word, make small answers, practice in front of, you know, record yourself, practice in front of the mirror or with your friends, you know, have a, you know, face-to-face mock. And you've got plenty time, you know, you've got almost 2 months, right? So budget, you know, you can't get away by saying you haven't, you know, seen it. You have to see it, you know, and then connected with answers, you were giving pretty well. That capital, you know, Mumbai Delhi Express, we knew all about it. So some of your answers were really bright and brilliant. Just concentrate again, innovation, startups, innovation, invention, we get different. What happens to a company if it stops innovating? They can come to all those things also. You
Okay.
use a word and they'll hook on to it, right? Your every word is a hook for the panelists. कुछ
Yes,
भी आपके डैप से वर्ड उठा लेंगे, बिहार उठा लेंगे, पटना उठा लेंगे, पाटलिपुत्र पे आ जाएंगे, फिर you know all every history of बिहार पे आ जाएंगे, बिहार झारखंड के ब्रेकअप के ऊपर तक भी उनको 2 states में, so many things. But you're a bright guy, you know, you'll be able to do it. You have very good. Best thing about you is your personality, your overall personality.
thank you, ma'am.
Very positive and, you know, very likable person.
Thank you.
Okay, all the best.
Thank you.
Ankur, very well done. I'm really impressed.
Thank you, sir.
Only thing I suggest is facts and figures. Like when I asked you about Bihar, why is it considered backward? You came out with very positive answers in these fields. So if both कर लो कि positives क्या बिहार में थे,
Okay.
figures भी अगर तुम साथ में बता पाओ, you can tell that also, then it will be a much better answer because it's likely to come. Bihar पे ये बात can be asked because this is what is happening, especially अभी in this particular point. And prohibition of Bihar. Please go through the various provisions there and the Gujarat prohibition. And
Okay.
Exactly that. So go deep into that because that is one thing very important. The rest, I think I do not have to add anything else. The only thing is that when I asked you about 17-year-old person murdering someone, there is a juvenile justice board. It can examine situation, the case, and then it can recommend, and on that recommendation, a person of that age also can be tried. There is a provision. Okay. So this is just for your information, these information. So whatever questions have been asked, if you things इसमें doubt है तुम्हारा उसको देख लेना. You have got plenty of time, and you are a smart worker, so I'm sure that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, right. Ankur, all fine. Just prepare physics for a part, thoda sa, right?
Yeah.
So it's expected that you remember the names and are able to define quantum entanglement. The sir ne bola na, give another example, right? Sabne suna hai Schrödinger cat, right? Other than that, deputy speaker wala part, the current affairs thode se, you know, unprepared the, but I think that's something because 17th April maybe your excuse. Right for that, but still try to read the newspaper every day. That's main thing. Then I think when you're trying to talk about why you want to join civil services, talk about your experiences as a startup and how they, you know, tilted you towards, you know, preparing for civil services, right? Or you can talk about there can be a reason from your childhood, there can be a reason something. But sir, I think sir also. Sir ने भी same बात की कि you know, we talk about the fact that It's a choice, liberty in simple terms. So you're well within your rights to exercise that. So depending upon how the question is framed, the answer can be given. Right?
Okay, sir. I'll incorporate that. Thank you.
Just one more thing I want to tell you, Ankur.
Yes.
You, to my mind, are a candidate who can figure in the top 10 in the list.
Thank you,
Okay. And when they find a quality of a candidate who they think has a potential, they can ask you difficult questions. And therefore, you prepare yourself now. You are not preparing just to clear the IAS. You are preparing for a good rank.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll keep that in mind. Thank you, sir.
So you're preparing for a good rank, you're preparing to come to the top 10, and therefore prepare extra.
Thank you.
Keep that in mind. All the best.
Thank you. Should I leave the meeting?
You do have anything to ask?
Yes.
Sorry.
No, sir. I have nothing.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Thank you.